Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you another video. All right, so I'm getting out the house. I gotta rush back because the Lakers play at 4:30 tonight. I'm pretty frustrated with the schedule this week for the Lakers. It's not allowing me to do my thing at all. Last week, I didn't have any Laker games to worry about in the meat and potatoes of the week. They played Monday, they played Friday, so it was 3-4 days more or less, so I just could relax. And then they had home games, so they play at 7:30. So all of the things that I like to do throughout the course of my week were easy to accomplish. This week, these guys playing 5 o'clock, 4:30. Like I got therapy tomorrow at 3. They play at 5, so it's like I'm gonna be rushing home from that. It's just, you know, I got an hour to get home tomorrow. But of course, I'll leave there at 4 o'clock. So it's just, it's not convenient. It's not at all for somebody who wants to cover the team. For the schedule makers to have set this up to where we got this road trip and all the games is early because they're in the East Coast. It's a drag, man. I'm not a fan of how any of that is set up at all. Which one of y'all want to figure this out? Because I'm looking at cars. Got a truck that wants to go this way. Got cars that want to go that way. So yeah, man, I'm trying to get over the irritable nature of my vibes right now because this is Tuesday. I want to do all of the routine, you know. Go walking, take my time, come back, take my time, you know, shower, eat, all of the different stuff that I like to do. I want to have my day since I got to rush around tomorrow and we play the Bucks tonight, you know what I mean, 4:30. So it's like, I got to treat this like it's a Sunday. Hey, wherever I'm about to go, I better hurry and come back, you know, that kind of thing. And then when it comes to doing the hundreds, my workout, it's kind of difficult to do that because you're going to want to watch the game. And the game is not on any of the channels that I have on the TV right there. So I got to watch it on my screen here. So it's one of those situations where if I really wanted to accomplish everything I wanted to do with that, I probably wouldn't leave it all. I'd probably stay home, just do some art, and then come back around. Do the hundreds at like 1:30, 2 o'clock, so I could be ready by 4:30 for the game. So it's just, it's a bit irritating to say the least. It's very irritating actually. Yeah, man, that's what it is. So I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm not gonna be there for long. Wherever the hell I'm headed, it ain't gonna be one of them relax and walk slow and all that. I'm gonna go there, peek around, and then bounce, so I can get back here, shower, and do whatever it takes to watch the game on time. So committed to this Laker thing, but man, this is frustrating. And Bron ain't even playing tonight. It's like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna be very frustrated if this team gets blown out, and if I'm doing all this only for them to show up and not show up, basically. So hopefully, as a fan, we get a good show for all of this inconvenience that comes with these long road trips on the East Coast. But and the funny thing is, in regards to that, is we didn't have too many of those this year. So I ain't had this problem too often. That's why all the games are at the end of the season right now on the road. We got so many of these early games because we didn't have them throughout the course of the season. So it's more or less something I have to try to adjust to right now. And that's like, man, I could very easily just skip all these games and have a good week. But yeah, man. Other than that, it's all right. You know, I did my normal routine as I always do, work out in the morning, stretching, shower, eat, and all of that good stuff. Slept pretty good last night. I dreamed I got into an argument with my brother. I don't know what the heck that was about. It wasn't that big of a deal, but it was just an uncomfortable dream. I don't even want to get into it. It's not worth talking about like most of the dreams are, but we got in an argument. I don't know, but either way, you know, just happy to have had a nice weather day right now. This has been a great weather day. It's probably about 73 degrees, nice winds. So I'm just gonna make the most of it and try to overcome my frustrations and my irritability, I guess is what I would say. But God is good either way. We are told not to complain so much, but that's not in my nature, man. That's where I really need to grow. Complaining is something I do very easily, especially if I'm uncomfortable and unhappy. But you know, at the end of the day, we're very thankful to get up in the morning and have an opportunity to live a day in a peaceful surroundings for the most part. It's very peaceful in comparison to where horrors are taking place in this world. And we try to use our voice to bring life to the awareness of those horrors to the best of our ability. Y'all know that's what I like to do. Talk about what's going on in Gaza. I ain't gonna say like to do, because I'd much rather not have to do that, but it is something that I choose to do on this channel. And the latest thing that I heard was that there was a ceasefire, a temporary ceasefire that was agreed upon with the UN, but it's only for 2 weeks, and I guess it's supposed to be for the end of Ramadan. But I just think it's more cruelty in and of itself. You're basically saying, hey, we give them 2 weeks off and then we get back to killing them again. It's just people want to pat themselves on the back for that. I think that's evil in and of itself. And then you got what it seems like is the U.S. kind of slowly moonwalking away from Israel in regards to their approach to the ceasefire. They didn't condemn the ceasefire proposal. However, Israel wanted to see them posture. Didn't happen. And so as a result, you got a unhappy Israel right now, mad at the U.S., using words like they're disappointed in our country for not standing in regards to that particular posturing or whatever. And as I told you guys 3 months ago, the U.S. is going to have to start moonwalking away from them dudes, backing away slowly from them. Because when you got an ally who's now bad for business, first you want to stay in place to see just how bad for business they are. You hope it blows over. You hope your propaganda works. You know what I mean? You hope everything that you usually do to make people relax works. Or hopefully it's a fad and people get back to their normal capitalistic, selfish lives. But it's not happening like that, because unlike most of the atrocities that take place, this isn't happening under our nose. We're actually seeing it in our phones, so we get a chance to be forever traumatized by these events. And because of it, coupled with the fact that the arrogance of Israel, which makes it loud in the faces of those who would otherwise calm down, it's even worse. You get to a point where you're like, nah, we're not gonna let them and all of their arrogance continue to move as if this is something to do and make fun of. That puts a whole nother layer on it when you got Israel making TikToks that we all see, making fun of the atrocities taking place that they're committing themselves as a country. And so when you have that layer on top of it, it just brings about more passion against it. And so as a result, America's realizing that the boycotts and the pressure from social sentiment, coupled with this being an election year, makes it very difficult for them to continue to move on with business as usual, without having to back away from that for which they should have been backing away from morally anyway. And so for me, it's like, I'm not surprised. This is what I expected. I don't know that I expected Israel to make it so easy for us by mocking these people. But you figure if you're evil enough to kill children in the nighttime, you're definitely evil enough to mock the situation. And so as a result of that, you have a passionate resistance. That was very predictable when you incorporate that into it. So that's what it is, man. I just know the enemy is always going to show his face. He's always going to want to take credit for the evils that he does. And that's how I know this is a devilish entity, because they behave in devilish ways. That you can see in other aspects of devilishness, and the confusion that it engages in, as we've talked about many times on this channel. Wanting credit, but also wanting to be revered as if it's good. And wanting those who are surrounding it to live in that space without questions. It just doesn't, it will never add up. You have to not question it in order for it to be comfortable, and it doesn't work like that. So, sociopathic behavior from a government and its people. That's what it is, and it's beyond sociopathic. It's psychopathic, really, and it's not going to be responded to in a way that continues to allow it to move as it wants to move. So, of course, its allies are going to have to back away, even though it would much rather not because of the financial benefits of continuing to do business with these people in theory. But as I said before, those financial benefits, you need to reimagine those numbers. Because if they're going to be bad for business from here on out, if people are going to hate them in ways they never have before, then you got to adjust what it is you're looking at in regards to what you're projecting forward will be the benefits of being their ally. You can't possibly think they're going to be great allies from here on out if the whole world can't stand them. Like, whatever you were looking at didn't have that put in its equation. So that's really my point of view in regards to this. I just think it was rather arrogant of America to think that they could continue being allies with these people as soon as it became clear that we were seeing what they were doing. People, the regular people, were seeing what Israel was doing as it pertains to the genocide that they're doing in their phones. In our phones, and we're seeing the atrocities, we're seeing the crying babies day in and day out. We're seeing the maimed bodies and the destruction all over. And, you know, we're getting a chance to know some of these key figures in this circumstance, losing some of these people because of the sheer nature of what it is that's going on there. It's like, yo, you think people are going to just get back to life? And then you realize that the celebrities and those who have a voice, who want to tell us virtue, or, you know, show us what virtuosity is, or signal virtue, however you want to put it, in our faces when it benefits them to do so, you're starting to see them be silent in circumstances that you know they see. And so it's like, okay, we don't trust them anymore. They don't hold the value they used to hold. Now you can't trust the celebrities to really do anything but continue to push the agenda of those who have their hands up their backsides like puppets. It just deteriorated the entire credibility of what makes us who we are, right overnight, just completely overnight. And so now it's like, now you got a bunch of people who are thinking for themselves for the first time in regards to circumstances like this. People used to worship celebrities to no end now are looking at the celebrities saying, why have you been quiet all this time about something that we clearly see that is traumatizing enough? If we are what makes you tick, if your interest is making sure that we're pleased with you, why is the line drawn at genocide? Is what we have to ask the Beyoncés and the Brad Pitts of the world. Not to say that I know how their stances have been. For all I know, Brad Pitt is very much involved in, I don't know, I ain't watched him at all. I'm just using him as an example because he's one of the most famous people I can think of. But the point is why haven't we heard from y'all? You know, where are you in regards to this? You know, I know Beyonce been quiet, but Brad, I'm not really sure. He stood up for the right things in the past, so I'm not really sure if using his name is the right thing, but that's not the point. Where are the celebrities? And that's what the common man is thinking. Those who are paying attention to this, those who are listening to people like me who are paying attention to this, you want to know where the hell y'all at. You know, and you're only interested in being in your own back pocket in regards to what comes your way. You're only interested in what makes you rich and makes those who help you pay the bills stay in power. And it just gets to a point where you start to see how corrupted and how conditional all of what it is we have truly is. It's conditional on whether or not those who are truly in power stay in a position in power. And that's ultimately what we've learned. It's not about anything in regards to morality or the preservation of life or protection of children or the protection of women. All of these different entities have lost complete credibility when it comes to the hypocrisy that they're willing to engage in as it pertains to the Palestinian people. You know, where are the feminist groups, the pro-children, you know, the pro-life groups? Where is the Lives Matter groups? They're nowhere to be found when it comes to the Palestinian people. Why? Because we know at the end of the day, they're not who they say they are. Their support for people is contingent on whether or not those who power them are pleased with them. And for me, I look at that kind of like, well, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because money is what this thing is about. And people think it's futile to fight against the notion that money is the king. Everybody needs funding for whatever it is that matters to them. And when it comes to that funding, who has control over that? Well, that's who's in position to be hurt by the truth. And so as a result, as long as money is what is involved, then we can't go against Israel. We can't go against AIPAC. We can't go against the people who are completely and utterly fine with destroying these individuals in Palestine. And for me, it's like, so you trying to tell me that I see this little crying baby starving and I'm supposed to be fine with that? I'm supposed to be fine with that because of the people who want to kill them have all the power in the world? So that's just a necessary evil for them to suffer? Like, you can't tell a rational human being to be fine with that because of capitalism, or because the people who fund literally everything or control the funds in this world are the ones who want to torture them for religious extreme reasons. I'm sorry, but that's not going to fly. That for which makes me a grown man who wants to protect children. I see images like that, and the only thing I want to do is deteriorate whatever would allow that child to be suffering. And there are millions of people who feel the same way that I do. You know, we're seeing the crying babies. We're seeing the dead babies. We're seeing children starving and emaciated bodies. And you want me to be fine with that because of what? Whatever that what is needs to deteriorate so that those kids can be safe. And that's literally all there is. I don't really care about what you may feel is necessary based on holding up the structure of whatever this is. If the structure of what this is allows for that to happen, then the structure needs to come down to protect them. That's it. And that's what people need to understand, that most of us are who are aware and free of thought are thinking. Somewhere along the way, we've let the structure of politics, the structure of capitalism, and the structure of allyism, is what I'm going to call it, political allies, and the desire to keep that in place above all, to put us in a position to allow children to starve right before our very eyes. Children who don't have no say-so in nothing, but could grow up to be some of the best leaders, best doctors, best lawyers, best everything. But we're going to let them suffer and be traumatized as children, because otherwise, if we don't, we're going to deteriorate the structure of what keeps us going. Nah, man, that's that for which keeps us going needs to default. That's it. That's all it is. Because I'm not about to be sitting up here as a grown man being cool with babies dying and suffering and all kinds of different stuff, because that's what keeps our capitalistic environment together. No, destroy it, save the child. And that's really what it comes down to. So that's where I'm at. I'm praying for the end of capitalism and the end of whatever otherwise puts any of those children in a position to be tortured, while grown-ups with a lot of power fund it, politically posture against it, stand as if it's fine, mock the people who are like myself trying to stand against it. Whatever that is, that's what needs to be destroyed. Period. You know, you can't let me see something like that, or I can't run across that type of suffering, see real life children crying into a camera asking us, inviting us to protect them. Then I'm supposed to be like, well, no, because technically the people who are killing them and starving them control the banks, and they have a lot of contracts, so legally I don't have a right to really go against them unless I want other things to deteriorate. So thus, I gotta choose between the lesser of two evils, and therefore the lesser of two evils for my interest is to let that baby starve, right? I don't know what that is, but that needs to go. That's what we are responsible for destroying to make it so that those kids don't have to suffer anymore, and so that the agreement for allowing them to suffer can never harm them again. That agreement needs to be broken. And the fact that we haven't found ourselves in a position to do that after 180 days of this or whatever it is, just speaks to the need, the absolute dire need for all of that to deteriorate. And so that's where I'm at, man. It makes me question religion when I look around at people who call themselves religious and then they're fine with this. It makes me question humanity when I look around at people who call themselves humanitarians being quiet about this. You know, it just gets to a point where it's like, nah, man, nah. Maybe if I didn't see this in my phone every day, it's cool. Like, maybe you could get me to be in a dystopian space about it if you distract me enough without actually ever showing me these images. You know, maybe you could throw enough lies at me that I'll believe and then be like, all right, it's acceptable because those are our enemies and you've painted them to be the worst guys in the world, so that's just what they are. But the fact that I'm able to see the innocence in the child's eyes, see the suffering, see the pictures of entire families being wiped out, and then I'm supposed to look over at John Kirby and see his little twisted up face say, well, I mean, technically it's fine. Like, no, it ain't fine, bro. I'm seeing these images. You look like the worst person in the damn world because you're letting this happen and you're playing in our faces like we're not seeing it happen. As far as I can tell, you know, you're a bad guy, and that's really what it is. And the fact that they don't acknowledge that just further reinforces the idea that these are bad guys. Joe Biden, bad guy. VP, bad people, man. They'd rather allow children to suffer in the presence of everybody watching than to put themselves in a position to fall on whatever sword necessary. Whatever sword necessary. That's really what it comes down to. To protect the child, you should be willing to expose all of your demons. I don't care if you're the worst, nastiest sicko in the world. If you call yourself someone that's going to protect children, you should be willing to expose yourself and everybody else to protect those children. And the fact that these people are so self-serving and that the system that they agree upon and believe in is so self-serving that it will allow for such things to take place without any resistance and the fight and therefore from there will fight that resistance to keep itself in place. I mean, there's nothing more in this life that I want to see than for it to deteriorate. Nothing more. Nothing at all. And so that's what I want to tell everybody, man. I'm with the resistance at all costs, whatever it takes, even to the worst of things. We need to not allow for any system like this to grow any stronger or mature any more than it is, man. This is as far as capitalism goes, as far as I can tell. This should be the end of that. Hopefully our generations for going forward find another way to move forward, man. So that whatever agreements, whatever complexities that are in place that allow for children to starve while we sit here and look at it, don't keep us in a position to feel like, well, it's fine. I mean, you know, it's fine. Because if we stop the people who are doing it, then it's going to deteriorate what we got going on. Man, I don't feel any need to keep what we got going on if that's what it is. If that's what it takes for me to just sit back and be cool with kids starving and dying and people mocking them and all types of stuff while they doing so, people raping people, all types of weird shit. Nah, man. Nah. If I ever called myself a strong person, I would never stand for that. Never stand for that. So that's what I call myself, man. Standing up against that nonsense, man. Using my voice to do so to the best of my ability. I'm not the most articulate person. I don't know everything I need to know, but there's no way. And I'm going to see what I've been seeing for the last 180 days and just sit back and be quiet about it while people posture themselves a certain way to allow it to happen for their own interests. Nah, I'm not going to be okay with that. I don't care if nobody agrees with me. It doesn't matter because I know what I've seen, and what I've seen requires action. Requires action against it. And whatever monsters are coming against those kids, whatever monsters are coming against those poor people, those are the monsters that need to be not anymore, however it goes, however you want to say it. And if you don't agree with me, then you're a monster. It's nothing short of that. And so that's how I feel about it, man. And you know, they can throw all types of propagandas in our face and tell us the bad guys is the kids when they grow up, you know, whatever types of weird stuff they convince themselves to do this. They can say whatever they want, man. At the end of the day, we've seen the atrocities in our phones. We see exactly what it looks like. We know what's happening there. You know what I mean? So the question is, are we going to be a part of the problem? Or are we going to be strong enough to say, whatever comes what may, we stood on the right side of history, and we formed a resistance against that type of monster. That's what it's about, forming a resistance against that monster that is terrorizing these babies, that's starving them out. Every day, it's not only dead kids that I'm seeing, but crying kids. Kids that have to be strong because entire governments have agreed to politic their lives away, to politic protection around their monsters that are coming after them, politic around their abusers. You understand what I'm saying? Politic protection around their abuser. That is insanity to me. And it should be insanity to you. We're protecting rapists. Won't say a thing about what's happening at Al-Shifa Hospital. Won't say a thing about what's happening on the Gaza Strip. Won't say a thing about what's going on in North Gaza. Why? Because it hurts us. If we do, we lose our ally. It messes with our money. I'm telling y'all, man. If there is a God, it's going to be an entire generation of people walking the earth right now. They're going to be in eternal hell. Eternal hell. And they think they're good people. They've been good to other people, but they were quiet about this. And they knew about it, but they were too self-serving, too scared, and too indoctrinated in whatever the nonsense is of the day to step up and be a part of that resistance. So for them, I hope there is no God. I hope their actions work in their favor, because otherwise it's going to be a very bad eternity for them. Very bad. And I ain't gonna have nothing to do with it. I'll tell you right now, whether there's a God or not, I'm standing this way. That's how I feel about it. Even though I believe in God just the same, even if I didn't, I don't think I'd be doing anything different when it comes to this. Nothing different at all. It's just more of a reason to have to take a stand, because you wouldn't be waiting for a deity to come through and do anything. It's up to you to do it. All the more reason to stand against that nonsense. And so that's what I'm telling all of y'all, man. Protect them. Protect them kids, man. They deserve that. Every bit of their generation deserve that. Not just those that we have around us, but the people over there. While a whole generation of people is fine with them being eradicated, a whole country of people is mocking their death and mocking their suffering. That's not okay. It wasn't okay when they did it to my people. It ain't okay when you do it to Palestine. It's wrong. And that's just what it comes down to, man. We've allowed white supremacy to turn our world into this. We've allowed it to turn our world into this. Let's just be honest. It's exactly what it is. Turn our world into a space where it's politically correct to let children starve. That's what we've allowed them to do to us. And I, for one, resist that in every way I can, man. I ain't paying into it. I'm not interested in aligning with it. There gonna be people who want to silence me because of that. I don't have any problem with that. I'm gonna speak while I can. That's how I feel about that, man. And if I land on the right side of history, cool. If they erase people like me and continue to go forward evil in whatever ways they did, we did our best. But there ain't gonna be no world where they just get to do this without somebody saying something that resisted it. And so that's what it is, man. Make life hard on Israel. Boycott your Starbucks. Boycott everybody who's paying into this nonsense. Even if it means boycotting things that I benefit from, I'm fine with it. I will live with it. And you will too. Because that's what's required for these kids to be safe. Bankrupt every last one of these Israeli supporters. Nothing short of that is responsible of us. As I'm watching people driving to Starbucks, y'all know what they're paying into. You know what they gonna turn your money into. Better know. They're killing babies with that money, and they're starving people and funding those who terrorize them. You know what I'm saying? Like literally. Funding those who fund those who terrorize them. Literally. That's what's happening. And because they agree with one another, They letting these kids go through the worst of things that you would never wish on your worst enemy. That's what they doing to these people. Coming up with new ways to make life hard on them. Coming up with new ways of putting trauma in their heads and their hearts. I tell you, man. At the very least, what matters most to them should be over with. Capitalism, destruction of their finances and all of that. That's what they deserve. Because that's what matters most to them. And so that's what I'm telling all of y'all, man. It's what we've allowed. BDF 44, I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.